So we've reached the conclusion of LSBA Season 9, and so I'm going to review the two playoff matches and the championship match. And our first battle is between the two YouTubers and the two former champions, and they both brought some pretty good stuff. And a lot of weird stuff goes on. So there's the Ninetales and the Venusaur lead, and that's pretty even. The Ninetales could Blizzard Venusaur, and the Venusaur could Sludge Bomb. Although this is possibly a Mega Venusaur, so the ice wouldn't really affect it. Yeah, he did the right thing switching out. He has no steel types on his team whatsoever, which is kind of weird. Neither of them do. I'm used to there being a steel somewhere. And since it's hail, Kyurem is healing from his leftovers and damaging Jack's entire team except for the opposite Kyurem. It's Kyurem versus Kyurem. And there's a roost on this Kyurem, and its ability is pressure, which is gonna come in handy pretty soon. He didn't really get much done. He just did a dance, but he didn't lose anything either. So he and I thought this was one of the coolest turns here. He knew that he was gonna want to use the Ninetales Alola to set up the Super Screen Aurora Veil, and so that's what Licky Licky is here for. He has the ability Cloud 9, which cancels all the effects of weather, and that's why the hail gets crossed out. So the Aurora Veil doesn't work, and I thought that was so awesome. And he gets the Paralyze on the Body Slam. The Life Orb is gone from Kyurem Black, because Mandibuzz knocked it off. Even though it was paralyzed, it got pretty... That was all it got to do. It got to do the one knockoff on the Kyurem. And then he switches in, or Ronder switches in Haxorus, which is a slightly faster dragon. We know that it's not Scarfed, so Haxorus has the advantage here. It has 5 more speed stat. And he doesn't use Outrage. He uses Close Combat. Now, either way, I don't... No, because Haxorus gets Poison Jab pretty easily, but Poison is so useless that he probably wouldn't use it in, like, neutral. But yeah, that was pretty cool that he got to knock out the Kyurem. I don't know what Kyurem would have gotten used for, because, oh my gosh, his Arctozolt is actually not a dragon, but he does have 2 dragons on his team. And I don't know, this was kind of a bold move, but there's a Landorus switch into the water type, but he doesn't. That's really his best special wall is Landorus T on this team. He was really counting on being able to get the Aurora Veil up. Gets to hit him with a knockoff, and he goes down pretty much literally the exact same way as Mandibuzz. It gets one knockoff off, and doesn't make it through the next turn. But uh, this team is all about revenge. Okay, he switches in Ninetales just to establish the snow for the most part. Um, he was expecting a freeze dry from Ninetales, which would have done probably a lot, enough to two-hit KO on the Tapu Fini. And I don't really know how it would have gone between Terrakion and Ninetales, but he switches out? It really seemed like he had the advantage here. He really could have just close combated or even Stone Edged. Yeah, Stone Edge is super effective against 4 of his team members. Neutral to 2 of them. And Arctozolt is super slow. Oh, he has Slush Rush. He has double speed right now. So yeah, the Bolt Beak would have done a lot. But I guess he knew that Terrakion was going to get switched out, so he stayed in with a substitute just to see what happens. And now his Prankster doesn't work as well. He can't... No, he couldn't have Thunder Waved Arctozolt anyway. What am I talking about? Hits him with the Volt Switch. It's not enough to break the sub, but... Oof! Well, yeah, the Blizzard... Venusaur is a pretty good check to Arctozolt. But I don't think it was really considered here that he would have reduced healing on the Venusaur because of the hail. Now, Synthesis and Moonlight, they heal different amounts depending on whether the sun is out or if sand or hail is out. Oh, and rain, yeah. So it wasn't enough to, like, stall him out, but... And I guess he protected just to wear down the hail turns. Oh no, but he has Wish anyway. So he's really counting on this Life Orb damage. Oh. And because it's not Thunderous Eye, it didn't have Volt Absorb, so it got knocked out from the neutral damage. And now the hail is gone, so that technically reduces Arctozolt's speed, but that substitute was pretty helpful. I don't... I think he might have been able to knock out the Venusaur if he had chosen a Blizzard there, but... So he goes for Icicle Spear. Oh, because that's his only move. Yeah. It wouldn't make any extra damage from the technically super effective. He could have, like, Outrage would have been equally effective. But I think he was counting on a attempt at Leech Seed here. So he went for the substitute, but or he's intentionally pressure stalling the Sludge Bomb so that he can send in his Ninetales. And that could work because he can out-roost the guy here. Leech Seed and Synthesis are not affected by pressure. It's only moves that target the guy. And he did get a Leech Seed off. Oh gosh. Um. Yeah, he didn't have any great switch-ins for available to him for the Tapu Fini. But he's gonna try to set up an Aurora Veil, counting on Tapu Fini not to have defog, but he learned from his mistake here. He went for an attack, expecting the Licky Licky. The Licky Licky goes for Wish. Oh, that's horrible. He expects a switch, so he sends in his Arctozolt to do whatever a Slush Rush guy does. He has low kick. That was cool. He had low kick for the Terrakion. I didn't know he got that. I don't even know how he can use that. He has really stubby legs. But he doesn't have enough hit points for a substitute anymore. Oh, it does just barely enough. But he really couldn't heal from the synthesis anyway. And he gets hit by the hail. It does exactly enough. Okay, he expects the freeze dry, or he expects the Aurora Veil, so he sends in Licky Licky. He's a dedicated Ninetales counter, but he knows he's gonna switch, so he has Hypnosis, and that's gonna really help him. Okay, he goes. He switches. He keeps switching out this Terrakion. He's just there to scare him, I guess. Oh. And he gets the special attack drop, but he goes for substitute. He's barely holding on. Okay, now he's got the Dragon Dance. Now he can outspeed. And the Stone Edge misses! Okay, that's rough. The Stone Edge misses. Terrakion naturally outspeeds Haxorus. He has a good chance of doing a ton to him. Tapu Fini has... I don't know, it depends on whether Haxorus has Poison Jab. I don't know how it would go Haxorus versus Tapu Fini, but that miss was super important. Oh, and the Icicle Spear is so strong. And now he has enough to sub. Oh, gosh, dude. And he doesn't take quite enough damage to... The Roost will heal more than the Moonblast. It's just weak enough. Now, yeah, so the substitute was helpful there because of you cannot crit a substitute and have it make much of a difference. But because of the pressure on the Kyurem, he ran out of Moonblast. So Surf wouldn't have done enough. We don't know what the other two moves were. Maybe like Defog, or probably not Nature's Fury or whatever that move is. Yeah, so that one goes to your boy Ronder, and his channel's in the description. The other battle, these two have never been champions. And this is either Joe's first year, or like hasn't been here in like 5 years. I don't know. But these are the two players who beat me. No one else beat me. Just these two guys. And I think Joe here ended up getting perfect. He never lost. And let's see what happened here. So he switches in Milotic. That's pretty safe. Milotic's special defense is typically pretty high. It resists the Ice Beam. That's cool. But it gets the freeze. Now, that procs Marvel Scale, but that doesn't affect special attacks. And the Grass Knot hits for full health? Okay, that seems wrong somehow. It must have been like a speed and power Milotic. I didn't even think Milotic was that heavy. But yeah, I would have made the same decision. I would have sent in Milotic, not expecting that to happen. And now Greninja's not a water type right now. So normally it's pretty good to... His electric typing here doesn't make any difference. He can't really flamethrower him because he is a grass type right now. But it's raining. He spends in his special tank. But Azoth gets to send in whoever he wants because he hit with the Volt Turn. And unfortunately, Scolipede doesn't have base 100 hit points, so the Seismic Toss will always knock out his substitutes. I don't know why he goes for the... I guess he was expecting some sort of switch, like... Because Toxic isn't really gonna do... Or maybe he's forcing a switch. That's the idea here. Because the Natural Cure is going to make it do less damage than his Earthquake or whatever he has. Yeah, it did like 10%. And he's got the Substitute that sucks. I hate Substitute. That's probably one of my least favorite moves to play against. I think it's so annoying, that's why I put Sylveon on my team sometimes, just for the Hyper Voice. Or the Boom Burst. Or the Chatter from Chatot. And he baton passes to whatever he wants. Now he's got a super speedy Silvally. But he expects the Silverly to go straight to attacking him. He expects the protect. He knows that Toxapex can't do anything to him. Even if it uses haze, he's still gonna have the Swords Dance. And that does 80, that does 75. That's huge. But he keeps going for the Swords Dance. He wants to have that double attack no matter what. And he does get hit by the poison with the Baneful Bunker. Like, that's the guessing game there. And he has Facade. He was expecting to get poisoned. Joe thought he was getting an advantage. But there's enough stall on his team, he knew he was probably going to get poisoned. And now it's a base 140 attack with double attack. And it's enough to knock out a Chansey in one hit. It's enough to knock out a Toxapex in one hit. And it's stab. So it's 175. Oh, no, that's not right. It's 210 base attack with a Swords Dance. And he's pretty fast already, but... And he's trying to poison stall him right now. Because that's his best option. He's choosing which guys to get rid of. Which ones he needs the least. And... No, he goes right into it. He doesn't need any extra Swords Dances. It doesn't... He's not trying to avoid the poison anymore. And Joe gambles on the double protect here. And that works for him. He was really good at counting. He knew that would knock out the Silverly. And that he wouldn't have to sacrifice any of these. That was a good... We get it. You're smart. And here, they both get knocked out, so they're sending someone in blind. And Manectric Mega is so fast for some reason. He doesn't look aerodynamic at all. He doesn't look... He doesn't look agile in any way. He looks like he's gonna fall over because of how heavy his hair is. And it's standing up because of all his static electricity. Hits him with the discharge. He holds on by 2%. Like, he put in just enough hit points or special defense to... No, he's not preparing for a discharge. And the confuse happens on the Hurricane. He survives with 2% on a low roll, hits him with the Hurricane, which is unmissable in the rain, but he got the confusion. That's enough to force the switch. He uses Defog to get rid of the Stealth Rocks so that his Charizard isn't just ruined. And he has the option to switch out his Tornadus again. He knew he was going to protect. He used that opportunity to switch. Okay, he's Dragon Dancing now, but he's not going to outspeed the Scolipede. He's not going to outspeed whatever he passes into. Definitely not going to... Well, he might have enough to outspeed the Manectric, like, plane, but... His only offensive option on this character is Toxic. But he has a Toxic on him, so he can't... So those protects are gonna hurt. And those substitutes, yep. I think he was expecting Protect on that turn, because he Dragon Danced. And now whatever he passes into is going to have a substitute on. And he switches out. He doesn't want to get hurt by the Toxic. He wants to reset it. Oh, and that's rough. This 3 times speed isn't really enough to affect Manectric's threat in any way. Okay, these are some solid plays. He switches in for. It's like Joe knows exactly what he's gonna do, but that doesn't really help because there's nothing he can do about it. He's going for the defog. And he's resetting the Toxic turns. But I don't know when he's gonna have the opportunity to roost or anything. And the Hurricane does enough to really. Oh gosh. He knocked out the Scolipede because he couldn't really afford to send Glysaur in. Glysaur can't do anything to Tornadus. Manectric can probably beat them both at this point. Yeah. So the win goes to Azoth. I really didn't notice any mistakes on either of their part. Like I think they both played basically as well as those teams could have been played. Or how would I know? They're better than me. We know that. We tested it. And so, now the final. Azoth versus the Ronder team. And I mentioned something earlier about him not having steel types, but he does have Heatran. It's a really classic Gen 5. Because there's Kyurem, Haxorus, Heatran, and Landorus. That's pretty classic. But Azoth seems to play a ton of UU. He has pretty much his entire team is UU. All 11 of them. And of course, there's the Snow Lead. I haven't seen this battle at all. I don't know who wins. No, he goes for the Freeze Dry because just Glysaur's annoying. But Jirachi's out. Ninetales, it resists Ice and Fairy. Okay. It doesn't like having. Jirachi doesn't like having the Intimidate from the Landorus here. Knockoff and Earthquake are going to do a ton of damage. Ice is neutralizing the leftovers. We got a Heatran switch in. Heatran's good against Jirachi. Unless you get paralyzed. I like having someone with Heal Bell. Not everybody does. Not everybody cares. What? I guess he was expecting a switch, so he toxiced whatever he was going to switch into. The Scald isn't enough to do that. We got a Toxic and Magma Storm combo, so he's stuck here. He can't switch out and reset the toxic turns. And the Magma Storm is doing a lot. But one more... Oh my gosh. The Magma Storm and the Toxic did a ton. I would have just been like, it's a water type. I can't affect it in any way with a fire type. But he sees things more thoroughly than I do. And this Milotic can't switch. All it can do is recover or scald right now. Oh, but it goes for a Toxic? It knows a switch is coming? That was cool. Alright, Quad weak to Steel. Hypnosis didn't go through. Let's see if that affects... affects the outcome. Hydro Pump hits. It knocks out Jirachi with Primarina. And Sylveon hits him with the Yawn. But Sylveon can't do much to this paralyzed Heatran. Can't even make him sleep because he quad resists Steel. Or quad resists Fairy. And ideally he went for Earth Power. Let's just say he predicted the switch. But we don't get to find out because he had paralyzed. The Jirachi did save this Infernape. Hits him with a U-turn, except expecting a obvious switch. We don't get to see what... Heatran probably went for Earth Power. Well... And he sees that as a safe opportunity to make sure Glysaur gets its Toxic Orb up. Wait, what? It didn't have... It was Hyper Cutter Glysaur? It was Hyper Cutter Glysaur, so that he couldn't get hit by the Intimidates from the Landorus. Oh, dang. I didn't know Freeze Dry even had a freezing effect, but the Freeze Dry hits the Infernape switch and gets a freeze. Okay. He got a freeze in the playoff battle, too. Now, the Sylveon might have Heal Bell. It might be able to unfreeze him. So I think in Gen 1, if you used like Fire Blast, you would unfreeze. Oh no, if you got hit by Fire Blast. But none of the top tier Pokemon were weak to fire, so there wasn't a reason to use Fire Blast to begin with. Oh, Exeggutor was weak to fire, so never mind. But he's also weak to ice. So we see an interesting choice. The Primarina uses Flip Turn. And he knows that Sylveon is here and it's about to use a move. And he switches in his Haxorus. Oh, well, it has a super strong poison jab, and we know that Sylveon has special defense investment. Poison jab's gonna hit a lot of stuff. Oh, and it's Life Orb. Going for the Outrage. He's gonna outspeed the Manectric, but... the very best thing he can do right now is switch into Mega Manectric, Volt, and then manually switch into Infernape, and then send in Mega Manectric again to get 2 Intimidates. But that's really unlikely at this point. Oh, but we got the confusion that didn't end up mattering. Somehow Alex wins by a landslide. Or at least a ground slide. Now, people have often pointed out the shared weaknesses on Ronder's roster. But let's look at it a little closer. We've got the guy everybody uses for some reason. And then we have a Fairy Steel Dragon Core with Freeze Dry, or with a potential Aurora Veil. So he's going to have double defense on everybody. It's basically nullifying any super effective hits. And then that was really cool how he beat the Milotic with a Heatran. And Hydro Pump was ridiculously strong for some reason. Like once he got rid of the Milotic, there was no water resists. And pretty much this whole team is weak to Haxorus. Like he has 3 ground weaknesses. And they're not especially bulky. And, like, Sylveon's the only thing that can really knock out the Haxorus. But it's also weak to poison. And just 1 Dragon Dance is enough to... Yeah, so congrats to Ronder for winning the LSBA 2 years in a row, right? And tune in next June when we have more LSBA stuff in 9 months.